First thing that drew me, in Bhubaneswar, that is cafe coffee day, sorry, which was in Janpat. But tea also has a very dark side, and there was a lot of abuse, child abuse, a lot of things, exploitations were happening. That is how Odisha journey came, and where we started taking people not to places but to gain experience.
So my first question to you will be, for Odia's tea is the go-to beverage. So what do you love about coffee and how has the coffee culture evolved into picture?
Okay. So, when I was in Ahmedabad, I think in the around 2007 or 8, when I would come to Bhubaneswar once in a year, first thing that drew me, in Bhubaneswar was a CCD. That is cafe coffee day, sorry, which was in Janpat. Till now it is there in Janpat and supposed to be one of the oldest coffee joints in Bhubaneswar. And believe me, Ahmedabad did not have a CCD at that time. Yeah, but Bhubaneswar had. And Vadodara had, but not Ahmedabad. So it came after 2 years in Ahmedabad. So that shows that how, there was a shift going back to 2007-8 in Bhubaneswar from tea to coffee. And it used to be a hangout place. I mean, a lot of people would go and spend their time. A lot of new ideas would evolve, through coffee. And then over a period of time, I think I came to Bhubaneswar in 2018 after living for almost 3 decades outside. And when I came here, I am seeing in last 6-7 years, of course, there were 2 years COVID and nothing worked out. But after COVID, it is like booming. The coffee cultures you see everywhere. Like whether I live in Acharya Vihar, there are 2-3 cafes in Acharya Vihar. And when you go to Patia area, it is flooded with cafes. And Old Town, for example, Old Town Cafe. And now this area also near the hospital. So everywhere, going to Kalinganagar, everywhere, have now a lot of young people. And again, today it was very surprising for me that a lot of young people, they are very passionate and they have all come together and they are narrating the stories behind their ideas related to coffee. And there's so much of cheer. I mean, there's so much of joy, happiness. And that is how I think we are moving forward. Bhubaneswar is becoming a metro now. It is an upcoming metro. And this was only thought in the city like Bangalore or Pune a couple of years back. But today, Bhubaneswar also has reached, joined the race. I mean, it is also part of the same system. So this is how I think coffee culture is evolving.
As you know, you are a writer. How do you think the reading culture has evolved in picture?
Reading culture, I think still we have to go a long way. I do reading in different cafes and also at government forums. Kalinga Lake Festival is one of the major festivals which originated in Bhubaneswar, but now it is spread even outside Odisha, in Nepal, in Colombo this year, where I am also invited to go Colombo and Bali in Southeast Asia. It has become a major lit festivals in the country. But I think still we have to go a long way, because today I think when it comes to writing, you have to think. Firstly, you have to, you have to be like, you have to immerse yourself in your own writings. Then you can think about others. You don't think about what the people like, what the people don't like, the listeners or the readers. You first have to think about that, what you like and why you have to tell this story. So slowly, I mean, when it comes to a lot of children of 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, and they are in schools, they have become my fan. They are reading my books. I discuss with them many times, and that gives me a lot of pleasure. I am not interested in people, those who are above 50s or they are well known intellectuals in the city, they come, they will not tell you definitely about what you write, but it comes from the young hearts. I think that gives me a lot of joy. And believe me that there are also students, they are studying in schools, 9th, 10th standard. They are publishing books. Yeah, I have met some of the girls. They have published their books. I mean, that gives me a lot of pleasure. Today, this is how things are shifting. And with the coming of AI or technology, so it is like you have an idea, and then this idea that the authoritarian concept is gone now. So it is more like spread across. Those who have ideas, they will be able to flourish. Otherwise, if you are not able to generate the right kind of ideas, then probably you will not be able to reach to a stage. So this is how I think the reading culture is also evolving, but we have to go a long way. When we talk about like Pune or Bombay or Bangalore, so we have to go a long way, because till I think most of Odias living in Bhubaneswar, they are more interested in partying and all, like in the weekends they go to malls and restaurant and spending a lot of time. So that has to little, it will take time, of course. Now people are coming up with more ideas. Like I think Chariots Cafe is doing fantastic job by conducting this weekend reading sessions, inviting authors, and also there is a lot of crowd, young people, and then you are able to engage with them. So this is, I think, more and more cafes should come forward and do these kind of things. So yeah.
Okay. So you are the author of the Whispers of the Tea Leaves.
Yeah, this is the book, Whispers of the Tea Leaves. Yeah. So basically, my interest is not in telling stories which are known. Like history mein what happens, like when we were growing up as children, or even today's also. So it's always told about Raja Maharaja. So the kings and their achievements, then when the first battle of Panipat was fought, or when the Kalinga war happened, all these things. But what about the history of common people or history of ideas? So tea is an idea, for example. And today, tea played a very important, a critical role in the British colonies, in the expansion of British colonies. And what they introduced today, in 19th century from Assam, today we take it for granted. You go to any nook and corner of the country, you will have tea. Our day starts with, sipping a cup of tea. True. And possibly ends also by having a cup of tea. So wherever you go, anyone's house or any nookad, or wherever you go, you always have tea. But tea also has a very dark side. Like the milk tea what we drink was a contribution by the British. It was introduced by the British. Tea was often drunk in Assam by the native communities in the wild format, wild mammal. So there used to be, tea leaves, and there used to be celebrations. Like we celebrate Raja Parotsa in Odisha, or Makhai in Odisha. So there used to be festivals around tea among the ethnic communities living in Tinsukia region of Assam.
Okay.
Dibrugarh, Tinsukia regions. And they would all consume wild tea. So with hot water and tea leaves. And the British never acknowledged that. They came up with their own ideas where they introduced milk, they carried out plantations, and that affected heavily the Assamese landscape and the Assamese culture. So, we don't talk about that. People from Odisha, from Chhattisgarh, they are forced to migrate to the tea gardens. As we talk about like slavery in the United States or in Americas, both North America as well as South America. But here also it was a form of slavery. They were forced, and many of them were killed in the tea gardens. And even the women were raped, and there was a lot of abuse, child abuse, a lot of things, exploitations were happening, and in the tea gardens. So there's a lot of dark story. And when I visited, this region, so I would hear these kind of stories from their ancestors, what they have remembered. So in this book, what I have tried, as I told you, that I always believe in cross-cultural ideas. So most of my books are love stories. set in the historical context. Here, there is a woman called Emily, who is a wife of a tea planter, who was a British guy, and but he was very arrogant and self-obsession, and for him, his wife Emily was a trophy, was a possessions. But she had a different idea. She wanted to venture out to understand how tea is practiced in the native communities, how it is grown, and the condition of the workers, their culture, their lifestyle. And then she meets a person called Rasbir, who is a local guy, is a kind of rebel. He is trying his best to protect the native tea culture. And then the relationship evolves. And when her husband comes to know, he, starts interfering, and then he was killed also in conflict. And then she, with the coming of Rasbir, discovers the various fascinating aspects of Assamese culture, whether it is Bihu dance or the Assamese song, or how they make their fabric, Mishra. So all these things she discovers, and then the relationship deepens. But at the same time, the British would not leave, because tea for them is a very lucrative business. So there is always conflict and violence, and somehow both of them have, they have not, they're following trap, but somehow they could escape themselves. They're not been affected badly, and they have protected themselves in this kind of conflicts. And then finally, the story goes to London, where it is discussed in the parliament that how a British woman in Assam is, he's with the native people, and she is coming as a block between the British interests and the local tea culture. And then her parents also come to know. Her father is a businessman, and it is discussed in the dining table where porcelain cups with tea was served, and a lot of people would ask them, and they later come from Emily to her mother, because her mother was very liberal. She would, because mother and daughter, always there is a good, and father was also not bad, but he has his own ego. So then mother comes to know, she comes all the way to Assam to find out her daughter, whether she is alive or not, and if she is alive, then in what conditions she is living. Then she comes, she also follows the same path, and three of them, Rasbir, Emily and her mother, they form a team and then protect themselves or the tea, native tea, from the British. And then finally, their brand, the local brand, the Assamese tea, which is the original tea, reach London, and it becomes a great success. I mean, there is a lot of buzz in London about the native tea, and people start discarding the tea introduced by the British, but the tea which is consumed locally, and then they become a lesson. So this is the story of the book.
So this is a very interesting story and a story of hope too. So you are the co-founder of Odisha Potli. Tell us about the brand.
Okay, so I told you about Odisha Journeys. So Odisha Journeys, when we would take our guests to different offbeat locations of Odisha, be it Kandhamal or Koraput or even Western Odisha or even coastal Odisha. So they would immerse themselves in the local culture while dancing, they say, or releasing local food, or something like that. And then we also would take them to different craft villages in Odisha. Whether it is near Kotpat, you have the these things like the paddy craft, or you have the Kotpat textile fabrics, which is again known internationally now for its organic color and texture. So idea was, the idea of Odisha Potli was born, and my co-founder Rosalind has a deep interest. I mean, she's very passionate for the handloom saris. So I used to help her and designing some of the heritage theme based saris, whether it is the Manavasa Lakshmi or something like that. And then, slowly it would also get popularized. People would start patronizing us. Then one day I told her that why our products are only confined to women. But men kya dos kiya hai? But what problem they have made? So we started with, then we thought like, let's also create fabric. I, as a student of archaeology, I had little bias for archaeology. So we came up with the first one. There's a site called Dholavira in Kutch, Gujarat. Like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, all of us, And Dholavira is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the largest urban centers, where they had discovered, in the 90s, they had discovered the oldest signage of the world, which was buried in the sand, and they unearthed it, and there were about 13 characters. So we came up with this idea and created in Maniabandha fabric. Then there was another fabric called fish motif from Indus Valley civilizations. This became also hugely popular. Even the Indigo founder, Mrs. Bhatia, she also had purchased from us. And then we started curating different things, different fabric along with saris, and I also made it a point that every day I should wear one Sambalpuri or Maniabandha or Noapatna shirt. So I've been wearing for last 4-5 years every day almost. Not new shirt, but because I can't afford new shirt every day. But I wear almost every day a Maniabandha or Sambalpuri things. And then under my influence also a lot of people started. Arvind Padi, for example, he's also wearing jacket, Nehru jackets, every day. And then a lot of people, today it has become a fashion trend in Bhubaneswar. So then we started moving from textile to other crafts. So what I noticed in Odisha, that when people think about Odisha, only the Konark wheel or Jagannath Patachitra, that is what come to their mind, But they are not innovating new ideas, which would be of great interest for the contemporary people living in different cities of the country or elsewhere in the world. So we started curating now with, of course, it is a little slow process in Bhubaneswar, about the problem. The artisans don't keep on time. First, we started conceptualizing a concept of Mangla Jodi. Mangla Jodi is a very well-known wetland where in Chilka, on the fringe of Chilka, where every year in the month of November, December, January, 1 million birds come from different parts of the world. But when you go to Mangla Jodi to buy something as a remembrance, as a memento, there is nothing except maybe t-shirts or something or tea mugs. But that has become very common now. So we conceptualizing in paper mache 5 iconic birds of small size, and we have already made that the first set. Now we have given for making at least 50 to 100. And Odisha Tourism also came forward. They said that we will also buy from you, and this will be used as a gift item those who are coming to Odisha as delegates, or when we are visiting different countries, be it Japan or elsewhere. So we can give a slice of Odisha, which would be very different from what is offered now. So likewise, we came up with this tortoise, olive tortoise, magnet, and the coasters. So these are all new products what we are coming up. So that is how Odisha Potli is actually redefining the concept of craft in Odisha.
Right. So I think it's a great initiative. And coincidentally, you both are wearing Sambalpuri fabrics. So you are also co-founder of Odisha Journeys. We would like to know about Odisha Journeys as well.
Okay. Odisha Journey is like, when I came to Odisha in 2018, I just started traveling randomly without having any agenda. So I just wanted to listen to the stories of Odisha because I had never lived here. At the age of 18, I had quit Odisha and moved to Pune for higher studies. And then again in 2018, I came back. I would come, but just for a few days in a year to spend some time with my parents. When I went to different parts of Odisha, what I heard stories, whether it's related to agriculture or craft or tribal lores or even culture like the maritime history of Odisha. So in how it is reflected in the craft like Jyoti, for example. So there are different innumerable stories I came across. And I felt that these stories should not be just confined to us, it should reach to the wider world. And that is how Odisha journey came. That is how Odisha journey came. And where we started taking people not to places but to gain experience. They could probably dance with a group of men and women in a Desia dance, or a Sambapuri dance, or Ghumra from Kalahandi, or release something, release food which you will not find anywhere, like Kai chutney, for example, and the red ant chutney.
Yes.
So that is something like you will not expect in Bangalore. You will not expect in any restaurant.
True.
So, to give those kind of experiences, so we conceptualize these Odisha journeys where the guests are immersing themselves in the local culture rather than just taking photographs in a spectacular, iconic landscape. So this is how Odisha journeys came, and we have been doing. Like tomorrow, I am going with an American guest for 3 days. He's a curator in a museum, and he is a state's guest. So I've been instructed by the Commissioner of Tourism to be with him for next 5 days. So this is how we are doing.
It was lovely talking to you, Sasi, and we got to know a lot about our history, our culture. Thank you so much.
So much. It's my pleasure. Namaste.